What's going on, guys? James from All Hail Internal Combustion. Make sure you like and subscribe. Today, we're going to be doing the timing on this Subaru. Water pump and the serpentine system, checking everything out there. The window regulator and the rear suspension cradle. So, we're going to get started on this. Just basically, I got to tear some stuff down. Radiator's got to come out. Well, it doesn't have to, but we're going to take it out because it's easier that way. Take the radiator out, the hoses, alternator, power steering, air conditioner, air compressor. We'll end up just laying that over to the side, but we just got to get all this room freed up here so that we could get in there and redo that timing belt. So stay tuned. I'll have you step by step. So while Pops is working on the motor, just disassembling some stuff. And say you have a window that's stuck up and you can't get to the bolts. If you can get the motor in a place that you can take both of these screws off, you can spin this mechanism. So let me get it off, I'll show you what I mean. Okay, so we got that cover off of there. Now, what you can do, you can spin it. Now it takes a lot. It moves very, very slowly. Very, very slowly. Because this motor spins a lot faster. But it will move. Should move once it gets locked in there. There we go. Should move the motor into a place. I think it's not moving at all. Well, take that out. The window should move on its own. I can't get to the last bolt without, I need to get a ratchet wrench inside that hole. Usually what happens is when you can wind the window down, when I go to put the new one in, one of these holes will line up with the bolt. There's the bolt, right there. Yep. Oh, I'm gonna have to just get a ratchet wrench in there and take it off. But typically what you can do, of course, seems to be stubborn. You could spin that mechanism and it'll drop the window. So let's say your window regulator breaks in the down position. You could roll the window up and lock that piece in there and unplug the motor, and the window will stay up until you can get the replacement part. Now, a little trick for you guys. It didn't seem to work. I'm going to mess with it again once I put the phone down. We'll see what happens, but yeah. Okay, so what I actually found is, like, it seems like the mechanism just kind of fouled up here. I don't know why it wouldn't spin, but this little motor in here, something's gummed up, but I'm starting to install the new one already. Just bolt everything back together as it was. Got the new one in there. Not quite bolted in yet. Will be shortly. Stay tuned. Alright, so I got the windows. I got the window track bolted in first. Okay, which I have to find where there's. I got that one tightened. I gotta get this other one tightened. So let's see if we can find a place that it. Right there. See, you can. If I bring it up a little bit, it will. Right there, perfect shot. Okay, so there we go. Got our window in. Got my new switch from the junkyard. Up and down, nice and easy. So I got that track on that side. I'll tell you what, these Subarus are really annoying when letting you know that your key is on. It just endlessly beeps and beeps and beeps. It's annoying. So anyway, I got that track bolted on both parts of the window. Remember the one I had to use the wrench for? That's on there. Then I got this little side brace. This kind of flops around free, and I put those two in. And I moved this motor around with some power. With just moving the switch a little bit. You got to be careful because you don't want it flopping around or dropping your window or. Oh my god, this car beeps too much. So I was able to line one bolt up and I got it in loose. I didn't tighten it all the way down, and then use the mechanism to spin the motor into place. Usually this one's the easiest to drop in, but I knew Subaru had to have complicated window mechanisms. because of how their windows are without the frame and how they go down at a weird angle. And I just knew it was going to be a little complicated, but yeah, we got it back in. We're going to get the door panel back in, make sure everything looks good and tests well, and happy customer that she can roll her window down and get into her back door, and that's all the interior work we got. So typically you can test these when they're out, but I feel like it's good to test these frameless windows. But see, I got everything back together. Everything appears to be working correctly. Sorry. So now we just need to make sure that the seal, okay, I guess it doesn't do auto up, but okay. Locked in, panels back in, everything's good. Closing up correctly. Release the air and water out. Good to go. So we got a slight problem. Hondas make it convenient, and they have a lug tool that goes in there. And I'm sure these slots in here, if you're a Subaru guy, probably have some special tool for that. What we're going to do is we're going to use the starter to knock the crank bolt off. So it spins clockwise. It's going to bring the wrench up, keep spinning the crank in that direction. That's going to hold there and bust the nut loose, hopefully. Hopefully the starter's strong enough.
Hopefully we can bust the nut loose.
Pass the camera over to Pops, and I'll bump the motor over. Scream if anybody loses any teeth.
Hit it again. Okay, hold on. Let's see if it works.
You notice we put a piece of wood there to it looked like it cracked the socket.
No, it should be talking about cracking those sockets.
Pretty sure the socket's cracked. Is it?
No, the socket's not cracked.
Listen, we crack sockets. Did it come off?
And the bolt be loose.
There you go. So there's a little tip for you. I would have preferred to pull this radiator out of the way before we did something like that, but, you know.
I don't feel like pulling it out, and I said leave it in there. We're just protecting it with some
those transmission lines didn't look like they were going to want to come out. So, hey, there's a little tip for you guys.
Look at that big old wonker right there. That's a long crank bolt right there.
It's actually pretty thin, though. Anyway, so yeah, Pop's got most of the situation taken care of here.
All the bolts, well,
timing cover's cracked. We're gonna have to get a new timing cover.
And like 5 to 6 of our bolts, like these bolts are in such bad shape. Basically, some of them were 10 millimeter. I beat a 9 millimeter socket on there just to get them off.
That's a trick on rusty bolts, though. A trick on rusty bolts is when it's so bad and a 10 won't even fit it, you just set a 9 on it and whack the hell out of it.
See, this is moderately okay. And this is one of the ones I had to do with the 9 millimeter, and it's just, that's wrong.
Yeah, tacos. Sorry, I can't eat today. I'm hungry. So what we're doing right now, we're going to set it up to be top dead center. Now we have to pull the cam gears off eventually to do the cam seals. And basically, we just want to make sure everything's lined up correctly. I just checked our kit. We have all these pieces there, so everything will be okay. We're just gonna have to check some stuff out. That's all. So stay tuned. I'm sure there's marks on the cam and the crank and stuff to get everything all lined up. So we'll be right back. Show you how we did that. Okay, so we got our top dead center set up. The mark right here goes to this mark. The mark on this cam, see it right here, goes to this mark. And the cam marking on this one must have moved, or it doesn't actually.
Marks right there.
This one actually goes to this little lip here. is about the only mark I could find, and that's what the book says, so it's not much of a mark. Anyway, so that's where we're at. Our water pump's actually making not so good noises, so probably good that we're replacing that. Feels very loose. So, and it's making rattly noises. Oh, look, it's still pumping. Oh, it's still pumping.
Doing its job.
We're gonna pull this water pump out, get the other pulleys out of here, and clean this up real good, and we'll be right back. Oh, we got the water pump put into place. I cleaned the gasket surface up real good. And it's this particular water pump on this Subaru. Subarus probably in general have a metal gasket. It kind of has like a rubberized coating on it. We decided to go ahead and put a very, very thin coat of the right stuff, Permatex, on there. So, just to give it a little bit better of a seal.
There's another one all the way down.
Here?
Yeah.
Oh, damn, I thought I got that one. So now I'm just tightening them down. So they're about evenly torqued. They don't need to be ridiculously tight, but they should be pretty tight. I don't know what the torque spec is. Probably like 15 foot-pounds or something. Anywhere from 12 to 15, I'm sure.
Like 41 Newton meters or something crazy.
So yeah, we'll get this hooked back up, get all the tensioner pulleys and nonsense going back in place, get the belt back on, and get the belt back in position, everything at top dead center. Then we have to order a timing cover. It's cracked in multiple locations and needs to be repaired. So stay tuned. We'll get back to that. Be with you shortly once we get the belt set up and show you where the marks need to be.
Alright, so what we got here is we've got our timing belt tensioner, and we read the instructions on this timing belt tensioner. It wants us to put this thing into a clamp with the cylinder in the vertical position, depress it, pull the pin out of it, and then let it extend, put it back in 3 times.
Taking no more than a minute.
Taking no more than a minute for each. I mean, these instructions are very detailed.
Detailed and kind of aggressive.
Yeah, they kind of yelled at me in a few points, and I got upset. And so we got to do this 3 times on this in order for catastrophic failure to not happen.
So this is hydraulic. Basically what they're saying is there's a chance that air could have gotten in there during shipping. So,
and they always got to blame the shipper. I mean, I don't see shipping being violent enough. You're going to knock air bubbles in something that was sealed from the factory, but obviously it's happened before. So we pulled the pin on the grenade, and now we're going to go ahead and let this thing extend. Can't take no more than a minute, or things are going to get crazy in the world.
Okay, so we're extended there.
Wow, that was
violent. I thought it was going to
I was expecting more, honestly. I was.
Oh, great. Now this is going to be a wobbly mess. Gotta get it like perfectly center here. There we go. I think I got it. It's walking. It's walking. Yeah, it really set you up for failure with this, fuckers. Oh, wow. I said that on the air. Just bleep that out, Dad. Wow. Oh, it's nowhere near. It's got to go down more. I think next time we just say, screw this, we'll just put it in. This is crazy. It seems like a really bad idea, in my opinion. Should have never taken the pin out.
Yeah, the damn pin won't go back in. We'll be right back. We're going to hit some profanity here that y'all shouldn't hear. Be right back. Oh, the foul, foul words that were said on that day. But we did manage to get it compressed 3 times. We had to turn our clamp over upside down, so we had the solid part up here to help get that pin in, but we did get it back in. We did it 3 times like they said, and took less than a minute each time because, you know. So this is ready to be put on the engine.
One last note, the pin in the center can spin. We realized when we couldn't get the pin back in, it may have been because the pin in the hole was off. So just make sure that everything's all lined up before you compress it back in.
Just hopefully none of y'all ever get this kind of, you know, setup, because all the ones I've ever done before, you put it in, you pull the pin and you walk away. Well, you finish the job and then you walk away, but you know what I meant.
So, we have never done a Subaru timing belt before. I've done lots of timing belts in other vehicles. A lot of Chrysler products, actually, unfortunately. And Hondas. I could probably do a Honda 4-cylinder with my eyes closed. They're actually really easy to do. This was a pain. We tried taking this out so that the cylinder, even with the grenade pin, was out past. That didn't work. You know, just getting everything lined up nicely just wasn't working out. So what we did is we started over here, set our cam in, ran the belt around, and got it tight going through all the lower pulleys. Okay, so it goes around the water pump, below the toothed idler pulley, and then over this idler, and made sure it was tight, made sure this cam was in place, and we had the bolt out, but we had it lined up with the keyway, and all the tension was out of the bottom, and locked it on the tooth, so that we knew cam here and cam here were in line. So then what we did is we held the belt around the cam, pulled this cam off, fed the pulley under the tensioner, over the crank, made sure the crank was in its proper location, and goes underneath of this pulley and up and over. And, you know, it was already over this, and then slid the cam, popped it into place, and tightened it down. So you just got to be careful while you're sliding this cam on that you don't move the cam, because this one kind of like free floats at top dead center. It's got a lot of play back and forth, which is probably normal because everything's probably wide open. This is number 1 cylinder over here, so that makes sense because number 1 top dead center would be ready for fire. Both valves should be closed. It just so happens that number 3 cylinder is set up exactly the same. So now we got this in, we tightened our cam bolts back down. We put our harmonic balancer on. It's very important that you have that on because the belt will walk off the crank when you start it. We're going to test fire it and see if it fires up. Make sure the timing sounds good and make sure that it's happy. So let's plug our ignition back in. Okay, our battery's hooked back up. So let's give this a fire up, see what happens.
Hurrah!
So what we did once we got everything lined up on there, this is a general rule of thumb with anything, timing chains, timing belts, it doesn't matter. You get everything lined up and you spin the crank over 3 full rotations. Now like on an American V8, you can, you know, your timing marks, at least GM products, and I think Ford's are the same way, all your marks are in the center lined up with each other. So you have your cam and your crank, and the lines are all marked up with each other. Now my Pontiac was nice because there's no lag that's got a timing gear in it. So, but you have everything lined up, you spin that crank all the way over, and your cam should be 180 degrees off once the crank comes all the way back around. And then once you go another full rotation on the crank, the cam comes back in and everything should be lined up. That's 1 full rotation. So it'll be 2 spins of your crank on an American V8, 2 spins of your crank, 1 spin of your cam. So that's a full rotation. It's the same on this as well. On the Subaru, Hondas are the same way. 2 full spins on the crank is 1 full spin on the cam. So you have to make sure you make that 2 rotations of your crank. Now, most timing kits will tell you that you should do 3 full rotations to make sure all your pulleys are seated nicely, your tensioner is working properly. On Honda 4 cylinders, they tell you to do that and be easy with it because you can have the belt jump, but you're kind of setting that tensioner and telling it where it's supposed to be, because the Honda just uses a spring. There's none of this silly hydraulic stuff. At least Honda's 4 cylinders. The V6s use a hydraulic. So anyway, yeah, this thing's ready to go. We got to order some timing covers, so we can't really do anything else here with the motor until we get timing covers. We're going to do valve cover gaskets on this as well because they're pretty leaky. So yeah, we're pretty much wrapped up with the timing, and we'll be reassembling here. So stay tuned. You know, we'll probably drop this video, and so you guys can see what's going on with the timing, and we'll release another video on the rear cradle, whole separate thing. Anyway, stay tuned. Thanks, guys. What's going on, guys? James from All Hail Internal Combustion. We're here hanging out underneath this Subaru, checking out the rear suspension. It's used to be an Ocean here. This stuff is the cradle here, is what I'm interested in replacing. Is pretty scaly. It's got a lot of scale on it. So I want to take this cradle out and replace it with one from the junkyard, because I found many in the junkyard that were in good shape. So yeah, we're gonna tear all this stuff out, get it in there. We sprayed everything with PB Blaster. That's got to come out. This whole rear cradle will drop out as one unit if we could get the 4 major bolts disconnected. We know we can get the calipers unhooked. The drive shaft has through bolts, so if we have to, we can always cut those off, no big deal. And we have to move the exhaust out of the way, which it needs a new muffler anyway because it's rotted out in many places. So no big worry with anything else. But these 4 19mm bolts are they're stuck a little bit. So we're at a deciding factor of, do we push it and try to break it loose and possibly snap the bolt off and then have to drill the hole out and re-tap it into the body? We've done that before on a Nissan that was as equally rusted. It was bad. We fixed it. Everything was good, but that created bad times and not so fond memories of that car. It's sitting dead in a yard now. Anyway, we're going to go ahead and we sprayed this with PB Blaster. I'm going to give it another torque and see if maybe I can get any of these 4 to move at all. This one snapped a little bit. The shoulder snapped away from this. So the bolt seems to be freed up, but there's always the possibility of the bolt being seized in one of these rubber bushings, which sometimes happens. So, got my 3/4 inch drive breaker bar. I'm gonna have to come off my creeper for this. Nope. Get that up in there. Okay. Pulling towards me. And see, I don't want to push too hard. I have more strength to pull, but I might snap it off. So that's my worry. I don't want to break it off. I really don't. If I could let it sit here for a day with some PB Blaster on it, and you know it comes loose, then we'll do that. But let's check the front one. Maybe we get some movement out of that. We're up here on this front cradle. Okay. Get to a better position. Yeah. That one doesn't seem to be moving either. You gotta try both directions when they're really stuck too. moved. Okay, now, we're not sure if that was a good move or a bad move. It may have been the bolt twisting. It felt too soft to be breaking. So we're going to tighten it down a little bit again. You want to work it back and forth. Take your time. We don't want that. We don't want any trouble. I want to let that bolt know we want it to come out nice and easy. I'm going to take my impact because it feels pretty good now. Hoorah! It's a wonderful thing. That is a wonderful thing. Hey, that looks successful. I'm not going to drop it all the way out because the weight could shift and it could be crappy when getting it back in. So. Bolt number 1. I think maybe it's just really tight, but also kind of rusty. So we're gonna try the next one. So we're back to this guy.
Oh.
That's actually normally a good noise. When you hear that bop, 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 you know that it's busting loose. It's feeling like busting loose.
Number 2. Well, do not let me speak too soon.
PB Blaster, I'm telling you, it's magic. It's like a car genie in a bottle. I'm telling you, I didn't pull that hard on those bolts before, but now they're just coming loose. So, you got that 17 still? I think that's what those are. All right. Oh. See that right there? That's quality New York weight reduction. We do not live in New York. All right. Oh yeah, those are no problem.
Oh, I can't see.
Looks good.